So, a couple of things that people don't expect to happen that are going to happen, I can tell you. One would be some stuff that's been discovered regarding AG, copy coming out in maybe a couple of weeks. Alabama AG. The previous one, or the current one that's running for Marshall. And then the public examiners committee is going to be under our public examiner's office, is probably still on the scrutiny. Well, in the course of an investigation, they had did an audit that they neglected to let the sunset committee know they had done, even though they were asked. They didn't answer, but they had already done the audit. If they would have revealed the concept of that audit, it would have led to a more request for thorough, extreme investigation into a particular company. And for some reason, they failed to share with the committee about that audit. Now, they did say they did a previous year audit. The irony is, the real juicy bad stuff was in the audit, the most recent audit that they didn't disclose.
Are you on the same ticket? Okay, what kind of good job?
I'll pick where it's at. That's my ticket. I'll take a double hash brown, double cheese with ham, and that's it for me. I'm going to do the cereal breakfast.
How would you like to eat?
Fried, sunny side up. I'm not going to be running. Very soft. Especially soft.
Hash browns or grits?
Hash browns. I also, with cheese and potatoes.
No meat? Oh, meat. Okay, I'll take the menu. And you said you're on the sunny side up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And just so you know, when we first met, when I was coming out, we got some of the stuff for you. Cakes. Guess where they came from? Yep. Well, I'll tell you, I give the full fact. We went to DC and was higher up on his home. I thought he was quality. See this on my phone. Don't confuse the FBI with the DOJ. I've never had a detective experience with the FBI. I haven't either. Not one of the guys named. So nonetheless, that's why I say they're not all bad. First to help me push through situations at great risk of losing your job and getting information. He works in the division. Actually, it's literally the division that deals with those type of cases. Anyway, now, so other people be worse, that's a whole different story. I know a couple of investigators that I wouldn't give a time of day. Anyways, besides that, next couple of days we're just going to try to heal up.
We got a button or something.
Next couple of days we're just going to try to heal up and take it easy. Hey, if you ever are working something with your organization and you need an extra hand and I'm here, just call me. I don't mind doing a little bit of my work for you.
Well, right now, most of what I'm doing is bouncing back and forth in DC and getting ready to start bouncing to Montgomery. So I got to.
I've never seen so much attack towards the public broadcasting. The public broadcasting entity in my whole life, never until just recently.
Well, a lot of it we've run on ourselves.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I'm just very surprised that it's so now visceral.
Well, I was talking to someone in DC before yesterday, and it was what the president was trying to do. The folks he wanted that he said were radical left-wing propagandists will not impact you at all by what you did. And the stations that Congress wants to protect were all hurt by what he did. I said, to my knowledge, there's only been one person who's come up with a plan that does what the president wants to protect stations, and that's me. So, I'm going to meet the folks in D.C. next week.
Sorry that all that crazy crap is
Well,
happening.
you know, in all honesty, if our funding gets restored, depending on who you're talking to, I know you're going to be the hero or folks who are hating you, because there'll be some changes in public broadcasting, and we're pushing the narrative on those changes.
Well, that's what it has to be. Look, there's no true leader is going to be liked by everybody. Okay, and people who have really great ideas who solve problems, somebody's going to be affected by it in a good way. Somebody's going to be affected by it in a negative way. There's, sorry, because there's always going to be individuals that have an opposing objective or idea that's whether realistic or not. They believe either they believe it or whatever you want to call it. So. That's the price that comes with solutions. You're not going to be able to make everybody happy.
I'm not trying to make everybody happy. I mean, we've got one station that's creating
More problems than solutions.
problems for everybody.
Yeah.
The whole system.
No, you told me that because you tried to meet with them.
And so I've worked out a plan with the leaders, stop their reckless behavior, or they won't get any more federal funds. 40% of their budget is federal funds. So, and I was talking about,
Is it personal, in your opinion?
it's ideological.
Okay, I get it's ideological, but is it ideological because it's personal, or is it ideological because it's the system? In other words, is it individuals' ideology that is intruding into what should be done? Or is the system that's become ideology itself?
Well, what's happened is the media has become a landing spot for activists, not for journalists. And journalists are being replaced by activists.
No, I get that.
So we're having to push back against the activists.
So then it's the individual ideology that the system gave support to.
And the people that are running that part of the system buy into that ideology. And they live in an echo chamber where everybody, the cocktail parties they go to says, oh, y'all doing a great job. Keep fighting, stand up.
So then it is personal, not professional, because if the leader is using their own personal ideology to support similar ideology, then they're missing what their goal is.
I think the two things you're asking about are so tightly interwoven that they're almost inseparable.
It seems that way.
And that's,
Everything you've told me, it seems that way.
I was talking to the executive on another station yesterday. Good, no, 2 3 days ago. And she said, well, if you do it that way, you're going to hurt this station. And she said, I know you don't want to do that. And I said, why would they do that? I said, they've created problems for the entire system. Our whole system is defunded because of their actions. So if it hurts them, that's their fault. They're the ones that put us in this situation. And she says, but they'll lose all their federal funding. I said, okay, well, it's better they lose their funding than the rest of the system lose their funding. And I said, the only way you get their attention.
You got any economist perspective? Have you catch anything?
I'll tell you what, I would like a Coke.
You said you like a what?
Coke. I'm sure she's a control for tomatoes and
So, yeah, the one thing that makes it hard for finding a common ground is that people personally feel like they have to make a point. The problem with that is if you have a job that is not a job that is for the people, then you're confusing your personal views, regardless of whether they're right or wrong, from your obligations in your position. You know, your position is to serve what the job with that position is for, not to use it to promote your personal beliefs, regardless of whether they're extreme or not. And I think that's one of the biggest issues in your area that causes problems. You know, it's like
well, we had an hour and a half meeting. The executive director used hour. And not once in that meeting, when we talked about the tone, did she say, I understand how you got there. Or, well, let me think about it. Let me give some thought to that. Or let me go back and look at it. He was like, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. It was like, after a while, it's like, these people don't listen.
here's a question for you. And this is not taking sides here. The argument say that works both ways. how do you, so I understand your strategy, but for the record, I think it's not a bad strategy, just so you know. I'm just trying to think this out. So how do two extremely polar individuals who think they're right find a middle ground?
Well,
Regardless of whether they're right or not.
okay. Well,
That's the question.
I think it find the middle ground by figuring out what do you do affect the entity that you serve.
Perfect.
And in February, I think I told you, I was with our national organization, and we had the leader of NPR, PBS, Corporation of Public Broadcast, and our trade association.
Okay.
And I raised the issue. Okay, this does have tomatoes, but and CBS lady did say, well, NPR lady talked about what they're doing, which they're not doing very well. And then the FCC commissioner,
Thank you, man.
former FCC commissioner who spoke after us. And he said, here's the Q&A time, someone asked me a question. And he said, what do you know about what the gentleman from Alabama said? He says, but I agree with it. And he said, what do you think either the bias or not? In Congress, they have a bias on something. And you need to address that problem. And there's not a willingness within this system right now to say, okay, what do we do to address the concerns of people who fund us? This is like, you're all supposed to give us money and leave us the hell alone. And that's just, that ain't how anything in the world works.
Here's a question. What are established benchmarks? For your perspective,
Well, we laid out some perspectives. We laid out some information on that. And they just ignored it. So, and one of the, as a matter of fact, and I was talking to the head of our trade association about this yesterday. I don't know if they're just on them or if they're just assholes. Because we talked about how the news slant so far to the left. And there was another group in the meeting that said, well, you know, everything you do is coastal. It's either the West Coast or the North Atlantic Coast. Or the rest of the country doesn't exist. And I did say, well, we could do more on that. We could do more
Central
north
Florida.
from the heartland. So, in late May, early June, they reached out to Idaho. But I could get a story. You have stuff on your team with the board. So, GM. The GM set them up with stuff in his new thing. Like these stories of news hour on pride flags in Idaho. And I told her, I said, I don't know what it's like. If that was like we don't know any better, or it was just to screw you.
Well, the big question is, so what? Pride flags are out, but what's the big deal? What's the point they're trying to make? That's even worse when you can't even understand the point of the story.
So,
I understand Idaho is considered a moderate conservative state, but so what? I get what you're saying now. Here's the question, Dave. Here's the question. Is the media aspect of it comprised of three different types of programs? One that is an opinion piece, one that is an actual news piece, and one that is actually a journal piece? Or is it just all jumbled up completely wrong?
the opinion bleeds over into the news.
And that's one of the issues you guys have.
And they don't represent the views of one.
And the one thing that's sad, has saddened me about NPR is that it was always the one, public broadcasting was always the one form of media where you thought it had a balanced way of knowing what was going on without an opinion incorporated. I mean, at one point it was that way. At least, I didn't say it had, I'm maybe agree with it, at one point it was good. I'm not like, years ago, it was, I'm not saying now, I'm just saying, my experience with the public broadcasting back in the 80s. As for example, I didn't see a lot of opinions in the news. I saw just facts reported on both sides. And then it was up to the person in Washington to determine what was right or wrong. There was no extra commentary. There was no expert opinion individual who, leaned a certain way. It was, now, it was less exciting and juicy, but at least it was factual. I can't say that anymore. And that's your issue.
They had a general manager's meeting yesterday. And the theme of it, we just got to figure out how to hold on to the midterm and help the Democrats hold the House.
That's stupid. Because that's not their job. Their job is just to report the news, not to support a party.
But I think plan that I'm working on will, one, they're never gonna see it coming. I think I said this when I started laying this out for some of the station managers. Well, we don't have to agree to that. Well, we don't have to. We don't have to. I said, there's 535 people who will make this decision. And only 535 people have a vote. And none of them are PDF.
As long as we don't end up becoming like Russian TV. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you the way we're going now.
Oh, we didn't.
It's more likely than the way we're trying to go.
Well, I don't disagree with you on that.
I don't think today, yeah, something like a good commentary, but depending upon, but they need to be able to explain the public knowledge. Right now, they don't have anybody that can do that.
Well,
But they have folks that can explain the other side.
well, me personally, I have issues with both sides. I have issues with, feel like I have to choose a side in the first place. Why do you have to choose a side? I mean, last time I tried, you shouldn't have to choose a side. You should be able to choose the principles that you believe in, not the side, regardless of the principle the side is on.
Well, that's my point.
But it's hard to do that now.
But these issues are nuanced. Some of them have, it says two sides at least, but some of them have more than two sides.
Well, I don't.
But if you only get one side of every story,
I don't disagree with that one aspect. A lot of that reason is fear mongering.
yeah.
But at the same time, figure out fear mongering reported by ACT, but fear mongering supported by the 10% situations that make people scared. That's how it works. I'm not saying it's right, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be, a news station should be exactly that, a news station, no more, no less.
Well,
Not a commentary political section designed to support one party. I completely agree with that.
well, the use of that, not the use, but the CEO of PBS, I've heard her say on numerous occasions that she doesn't understand what the problem is, that news is less than 10% of what PBS does. And for instance, my folks made it such a big deal out of that. And I did an interview with a Washington-based publication yesterday, day before yesterday, and I quoted her on that, and I said, here's the problem. You still have to do it right. I said, Jeffrey Dahmer spent less than 1% of his time killing business victims, but he still went to prison.
Okay, interesting example. I would use something less violent. Okay, point is made. Dak, that was a little bit pushing the envelope, but the point was made.
Well, it was designed to push you.
Yeah. I get it. Point was made. I get it. Yeah. Of course, then the next article will be Jack Williams supports Jeffrey Dahmer. Look, I get where you're coming from. May I give you something to consider, please? standards, same benchmarks should be universal. Is my only thing that I would say. I support what we're having because it's like I get your approach because you've tried it this way, you've tried it this way, you've tried it this way. Nobody wants to, they don't want to talk, they don't want to work together, they don't want to do this. And now you have to hit it where it hurts for them to actually listen. I think that's, sometimes you got to go that route. However, when it comes to that, and the 3-day large fish moment has presented itself, and they're willing to capitulate, whether they like to capitulate or not. Sometimes how you end up making the decisions when they're rich capitulate will determine whether you're really a bully or not. So my only input is this. Once this implementation has happened, don't approach it wisely so it doesn't look like you're a bully. That defeats the purpose of what you're doing in the first place.
Well,
You know, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing worse than winning a war but losing a country.
you know, when,
And for the record, that's actually Arabic saying.
when you had a football return, one of my friends, something good, probably the day or day or two afterwards, and he said, I got some advice for you. I said, what's that? He said, don't spike the ball.
Yeah.
And,
Why do people have to use football terminology? I get it. I mean, that was the worst thing the Texas governor could have ever done. Who was the enemy? Who was the other side? Who was the other team in that situation? Because there was no other team in that situation. There were victims and there were non-victims. Southern people, they got to use the football for everything.
Yeah.
But he's right though. Don't just be careful with that because there's enough current situations right now, whether right or wrong, where the funding method, the funding threat is used as a means to an end and not in a good way. So be the better person when they're forced to come to the table.
Yeah, well, my position all along has been, I don't want us to give my side.
Well, I agree.
I get weary listening to my side because, by and large,
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go cook.
yeah, I'm
No,
gonna
no.
How long y'all been open here, Evan?
It's been a couple years.
It's been about 4 years.
How long has this been? Three.
I
Yeah.
know we've
I
opened
said
before.
three. You never
Yeah,
ate
where you from?
where I'm from?
Where?
I move around like I don't really like.
Okay, so how much trouble are you in? Because the way you acted like you were in trouble. You acted like you were America's Most Wanted. So stop avoiding and answer the question, woman. Where are you originally from?
Where'd you go to school?
See, that's what I mean. Like I'm from Sunnyville, Birmingham, and Gainesville.
Okay, let's be more specific. Where were you? What county, state, city were you born?
What high school is that?
Kansas City.
I went to Southside 1 year.
Really?
See, now that wasn't so difficult.
It is, but I personally don't like Birmingham. I've been here for like 2, 3.
So what's your goal?
What's my goal? Like what?
Well, if you don't like it, get the hell out of here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, so what's your goal? So what's your goal?
What part of town do you live in?
I live in next to Kingston.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the east side. Yeah.
Wow, you live there but work here?
I had a friend who used to coach basketball at Clay Chocolate.
Really? Yeah, that's all I went to. I went to Clay
So
Chocolate.
when were you to Clay Chocolate?
From 11th grade to 12th, I think, to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated.
So Jeremy Monso was a basketball coach.
I don't know.
You do realize she's less than 21 years old.
How old are you?
No, 23.
Oh, come on. Okay, look, I'm trying to be nice, okay? Okay, I could have said 30, but I was trying to give you, yeah, see? I was trying to give you some wiggle room here. You had to correct me. I was trying to give you compliment. You just had to just throw me under the
People be
bus.
like, oh, you're 19, 18.
Oh, no, I knew you were 20.
That happens to me all the time.
But yeah, I graduated.
He says that happens to me all the time.
But yeah, I'm trying to get over it, man. We're not trying to take points.
You know what they
So you
call,
wanna go?
I don't know. Probably take it.
okay, if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to get out of here.
Probably take it.
No, not probably.
I am going to go
There you
to
go.
Where in Texas?
Memphis.
I mean, you never heard of somebody say,
Where?
Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, mom. Sorry, Houston, my bad.
Houston.
Oh, Houston. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about my uncle, because he was in the Navy, so we don't.
Was he in Memphis?
Yeah, he
My
was in
brother,
Memphis.
my brother spent 9 years at that base in Memphis. He was in the Marine.
I don't know how long he went. Right now he in he's slow right now, but he's in Maryland. Yeah. So we went to DC and all that up there too. I like DC, but it's a little too fast paced. Going from Birmingham and then going to DC.
I have a son in D.C.
Really?
I'm going up there next week.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting married. That's like Saturday, but a week from Saturday.
Really?
Yeah.
You like it up there? Have you been there before?
I've been there a bunch. I will do some work up there, so I've been there. I'll spend about almost 2 months in D.C. this year.
The first time I went, I lost my Metro card.
and for the record, no more mint. You never say, I meant to go to the bathroom, and it didn't work out. Either you do it or you don't.
I got it. Yeah, I lost my Metro card, but I was like young, but I was like, dang.
Oh, wait a minute, you're 23, you said I was young. What's... See, I said 21, you had an attitude. Then you go to talk about when I was young, see?
Younger.
But you can replace the Metro card. They're not that expensive.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed y'all food.
Thank you. It was good.
Ay, Dios mío.
So, the biggest pain in the ass at work is billing.
Understood?
Billing.
Okay.
I would rather have one account outside of sports. I have one other account, and it's $625 a month. And it's always screwed up. And that stresses me out more.
Why is it so screwed up?
Because, well, I'll tell you that now. But I just, because my focus is Montgomery in Washington. And there's a couple of times I thought, I wish I could even sell this, like it's less than $10,000 a year. And it's the biggest thorn in my side. And so, every state agency, it seems like, has a different way. They operate on a different set of rules for the state. There's not one set of rules. They'll list it like someone will say, well, I gotta have this. Somebody else say, I gotta have that. So I probably coached this for years ago. I sold Janet's agency advertising. Sold it again for this year we're in now. And we're in a meeting a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, well, why? She hasn't paid for the last 3 months of the first 3 months of this fiscal year, but there's no billing for anything. They're like, well, we don't have a contract. And I went back and found the contract. And realized I forgot to forward it because it came like the Monday before football.
I got it.
And I just didn't want to screw that up.
Well, what it seems like, Jack, is that that's your kryptonite.
Well,
And because of all your other responsibilities, you know.
we have an outdated, very cumbersome traffic and billing system. They don't talk to one another.
Ouch.
And
that is
I've not
Alabama.
been trained on it.
booth, this isn't work. And you can't bring anybody that works underneath you that can do it all for you while you focus
I don't
on
have
it.
anybody that works underneath me. I'm a one-person department. I don't have people that work underneath me to do this for me. The people that work above me do this for me. I mean,
Can you get somebody?
No, when I sell something, our executive director is a former sales manager. He understands how this works. He just puts it all in. Our CFO is the former CFO of the television station. She handles my business for me, so we had to get all that worked out. So, it's just, when Wayne's first day on the job, he said, what do I do? I said, get me out of business. And he said, I can do that. And 6 months later, they're training me on this system. But I only got trained for 45 minutes. Because he figured out, said, okay, we got it. And they ended the training, because it's just me and him. And so the accountant that has to follow up on all this is going, oh shit. And finally, my boss said, look, you're gonna have to, we gotta find this out.